welcome back to another video. We're headed to get tuned. It's a really shitty day out, like it's just nasty. The tune's not so bueno. It's good enough to get where I'm going. I want to do an update real quick. We had a problem running the O2 sensor into the ECU. Using the ECU ground as the ground for this wideband made all the sensors freak the fuck out. So do not do that. Just run the ground straight to chassis ground, and then run a straight switched power either from a relay, or I'm using the radio because that's the same thing. It's a switched power off the ignition. And yeah, let's enjoy this beautiful day driving through the mountains and get this thing tuned. Oh my god, F my life. So tuning was going great. Car was running great. Everything's good. So it just died all of a sudden, right? Come to find out, we pulled the valve cover off. The cam itself, like, I didn't leave bolts loose and shit because you saw it all in video. The bolt's still tight in the cam gear. The cam itself just snapped, like someone took a machete and cut that shit, and it snapped right behind the cam gear. So there's half the cam that goes through the cam gear still there. So I'm gonna have to send some emails back and forth to Brian Crower, see what's gonna go on with this, and we'll find out here after this jump cut, I guess. So here we go, we're at home. Check this out. Got some good news. We did a leak down test. None of the valves are bent thus far that we can tell. All the pressures came out equal across all 4 cylinders. And so it looks like we got lucky and didn't bend any valves. So after talking to Brian Crower, they ended up giving us a new set of cams, and they gave us $100 back to get a new timing belt. And apparently, which is kind of a downfall for anything that's aftermarket, the torque spec on Brian Crower's is 22 foot-pounds and factory is 40 foot-pounds, and we were building everything to factory spec, so I'm sure that didn't help the matter. But they worked with us very well and got us new parts, and so as far as that transaction is concerned, we're pretty happy. Now what we're doing to modify this, right, is instead of using the stock bolt, which only like 2 threads stick into the actual body of the camshaft here, we're measuring, because it's threaded all the way down, we're measuring with the zip tie, right? So we'll cut the zip tie like this. Never mind, that didn't work. It flew way over here. Let's see if we can find it. Nope, it's lost forever. As you can see here, we have like a ½ inch of threads left in the cam. So that means that the new bolt's gonna stick like halfway in the middle of this journal. So we couldn't find bolts that were the exact length. So what I'm gonna do is, these are all 10.9s, which is stronger than the factory bolt. And then we have washers to do the same thing as this washer. So we're gonna set this nut, the top nut, to the length of this zip tie, and then grind off the top portion, and then unthread these 2 bolts and clean up any of the threads to make sure it's gonna thread in nicely, right? Then we're gonna use that to go into this cam. Having this only 2 or 3 threads from the bottom will give us more rigidity on this cross section here, and there should be no reason after we do that that this would ever break ever again. So I'm gonna do that on the Monte Carlo too, but that'll be in different videos. First I cut this with a disc, and then I use my blender disc, if you don't know what that is. So here's a cutting disc. I'm sure everybody's seen one of these. And then here's a blending disc, which it's like a whole bunch of sheets of sandpaper glued onto a wheel. So then I use that to make it flush. And now when I pull these two nuts off, it should clean the threads. If not, we'll have to use a pick and a tiny file to make sure the threads are good. So there's a little piece of metal here. I'm gonna take a razor, a normal box cutter, and trim this little piece of metal off so it doesn't cause us any issues. So here's the end product. Should thread in nice and smooth. So now with these two washers, they equal the same thickness as this factory washer. And you got to make sure if you're doing this, they're called fender washers because the hole will be small but the outer diameter will be larger. If you get a normal washer, then the hole, it pretty much just matches the flange head, and it'll be the same diameter, outer diameter as this with the same inner diameter as the bolt. So the thickness of it would only be like roughly like this. Obviously this is the wrong inner diameter, but you get the point, I hope. Alright, so here we go. It's bottomed out. Well, not bottomed out. It's tight and the washers can't move, which means that it's not touching the bottom like it was earlier. So now let's see how much of a difference the bolts are. So with the straight edge cardboard box, it looks to be about 1/4 of an inch to 3/8 of an inch difference. So definitely worth it to me to do this. The washers are the same thickness, so you're gonna get, instead of the very last 2 threads of this gold one going in to the stock of the body of the cam, you're gonna have now at least 3/8 of an inch inside the body of the cam. And when I say that, I mean 3/8 of an inch past this lip. It's gonna be in now instead of 2 threads. The stock bolt only goes like this far, 2 threads in. So now we're gonna be out in here.
Oh my, is it even turning?
What are you doing?
It's not turning. Oh, never mind.
It's out, you dumbass. We're taking out the spark plugs, and then we're gonna inspect the timing belt, which I think we're gonna buy a new one, just because it could have damage, but we'll find this out in a second. And then we're gonna have to remove the lower timing chain cover and the harmonic balancer to get back in here to reset the timing. We got the timing back together, all the belts back together. We still need to finalize the tune now, since obviously we couldn't finish tuning it. But no bent valves, seems to be alright. No crazy noises. Seems to rev up alright. So, alright, well, tuning number 2 is going to be coming up next video, and some pulls and all that stuff will be in the next video. Till next time, guys, wrench on.